Good afternoon and welcome to our Women's Volleyball Weekly Press Conference with head coach Tyler Hildebrand. We'll go ahead and start the press conference with an opening statement from Coach, and then we'll open it up to questions from the media. Thank you.
Thanks, Lindy. Today I'm not going to tap this because it causes a bunch of issues with the sound. It was a great week in terms of, again, our number one goal, which is to bring fans in here. And our number one goal for this season is to get tested and to learn and grow from our wins and losses. So in that sense, last week was a great success. And, we were in Friday's match against Washington and UCLA's match, and that's a lot of growth for our program. Our women got to see that they can hang, that we have a seat at the table, that we're right there with those teams, a lot of close sets, and we identified a few things that we need to get better. Our row one, we're working on. If we side out, just a little better in that row, there's a good chance we just gave up a lot of points in that row. And all three of our losses actually against LMU as well. So we're going to try to tighten that up. We need to block some more balls out of system, which we've been serving really well this year, which is so great because we were not a great serving team last year and we're a good serving team this year. So we're getting that part of the job done, and we got to just block some more balls out of system. A couple of Washington's players got going, and some of UCLA's got going out of system. And our offense, we have an offense that's really hard to deal with, and all the coaches I've played have said you guys are a lot to deal with. Obviously, our numbers aren't high enough yet in terms of our offensive production, but they're like it's hard to deal with the bang-bang transition and the creativity, but we need to get more creative, and we're training that quite a bit because when you get a little bit more creative, it opens up a little bit more of our swings. And so we got to learn a lot about what it's like to play Power 5 teams, big teams. UCLA that's a very physical team. That's one of the most physical teams UCLA's had in a while. And so it's great to play that team in Texas and LMU. So, but the thing that, we posted, but, we had 5 home matches and we had 10,200 fans in 5 matches. And so that's our marketing department. That's the women that are, battling and getting better. That's everything we're doing as a program. And there's excitement, and that's what we want. And we're getting used to playing in front of a nice big home crowd, which we're going to have at the end of the season, in our Big West tournament.
Coach, you mentioned having a big home crowd. Now you're going to be on the road for the next 2 weekends, starting off in Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, as well as Omaha. And then next week you're in Arizona. What's that familiarity going to be like, and how will you all be more comfortable on the road as opposed to being at home?
Yeah, we'll have to see. Starting out 2 weeks at home, last year we were kind of back and forth, but so we'll see. It is going to be different going to 2 places where their program or their state and their community supports those programs. UNO gets a really nice crowd. And so I think we play, there's like an ice rink underneath, which is also kind of unique there at University of Omaha. It's kind of cold on the floor, which is cool. We've played them a couple times when I was in Nebraska. But they're going to have a really nice crowd, and they had a really successful year last year, so I'm sure they're going to be bringing it. And, we know what it's like to play at University of Nebraska-Lincoln. So, again, playing Nebraska is like playing Hawaii at Hawaii. So it's a nice dress rehearsal for that. And, again, if we make the NCAA tournament, we're going to play teams maybe that are going to have big crowds. So, Paulie can bring a good crowd, and Santa Barbara can bring a good crowd. So just more tests, and we're really, really fighting hard to really take our wins and losses and look at the challenges of every match. So it's gonna be great, and it's just a really special experience to go play at Nebraska. And so I'm excited for our women to experience that, and we're looking forward to it.
Of course, this year is a little bit different from last year, as most of the team has experienced playing at Nebraska. But still, how important is the experience of someone that is maybe the most experienced on the team this year, Hannah Lesiak? You had the experience of having Callie last year, so she knows exactly what that place is like.
Yeah, I think it's helpful. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think Elise might be the only one that's playing for us right now that hasn't played. And, Ella's gotten in a little bit. She hasn't. But Abby actually played against them, too. They beat us in 5 a couple years ago when we was in the national championship game at Nebraska. So it's helpful to not be the first time to play in front of that environment. Hannah's also playing really, really well right now. She's been very steady for us all year. So, yeah, I think the first time you go there, maybe the whole team's a little bit, it's new, but so I think that'll help us. We're better this year, but Nebraska's, I think, is better this year. So yeah, we seem to play pretty well against some of these bigger, better teams, and so I think it'll be, we're hoping it'll be a great match. But UNO last year was just Nebraska. We only played one match this week, and so we're really happy that UNO was able to play us. And we could fit that in the schedule. So we're really looking forward to playing them on Thursday.
And then playing Omaha or UNO, what will that be like, considering you don't want to look ahead to that Nebraska match? And do you think that Omaha match could be a trap game for you all?
Yeah, I guess it's always a challenge to treat every match. There was some stuff going out about Texas match being the biggest match of the year, and we're kind of every match is the biggest match of the year. We're a program that's trying to build. We have an incredibly tough schedule, so for us, it'll always be a challenge to try to treat every match like that. So I'm sure UNO will be no different. I don't know exactly if it'll feel like a trap match. I think we've lost our last 2, so our girls are going to be hungry to win. And so, we'll prepare how we always prepare, and we will. We certainly, when you're building to try to get back to the dreams and the vision we have for where we want to be in this program. Yeah, we're a long way from being able to beat teams just because we show up to the gym. I don't know if we'll ever get to that point. There's even in Nebraska or you can lose to anybody. So we're going to prepare the same way, and we're going to give UNO the respect that they've deserved or that they deserve. So I hope it's not a trap game, but I think we're going to treat it like a very, very important match for us.
Coach, you talked last week about out-of-system balls and being aggressive, getting it towards the net, executing it well, and that's a pride for your program. You might see some out-of-system balls this upcoming week. How much of that is a focus for you, seeing that your team didn't execute it as well last week?
Yeah, particularly in the UCLA game, I think the first 2 matches we did pretty well. It's a focus for us every day. One thing is that when you go through a season is you have to have your fundamental drills or your fundamental focuses, obviously serving and passing and defense, and you have your fundamental things. But as you start learning more about your team, which is what we're doing, right now, of course, you can't just go, okay, well, now we need to get better at this, so let's work on it for a week. Oh, got a little better. Last week it was little things and picking up more balls, which we did a really, really good job of. But if we don't focus on that again this week and next week and, for a while now, if not the whole season, it'll just start to fade off anyway. So, you can really only focus on the things that come up, that your exposed weaknesses maybe show up that you might not know till you play a UCLA and a Texas and all these teams we played. You don't see those things, right? But you can't just every time you have a match that exposes something, okay, we're going to work on that because we're limited by hours, we're limited by jumps. And so you only get maybe 5, 6, 7 things that you didn't know of that are in your kind of core training practice plan to okay, we're going to insert this and try to get a lot better at that. So as far as your question, that's something that is a staple of our program. We are always going to try to find ways to give our hitters a chance to score. And, it showed up against Indiana at 23-21 or whatever when we shanked the ball and that they're blowing us up with serves because they're such a great serving team. And Savannah set it 35 feet and at least not the net teed off. So that'll always be something we want to give the power to the girls, that we want you to have a chance to swing and to kill the ball versus be conservative and set it over the net like a lot of programs do. So that one's always in there. the things that we're adjusting, again, you only get about 5 or 6 things you can work on unless you abandon your fundamentals. And so that one's in there every day.
And then you making your return back to Nebraska for the second straight year, what will that be like for you and reuniting with all the Nebraska fans and John Cook and all the other familiarity with Nebraska?
Yeah, I'll probably start thinking about that after Thursday, in terms of getting focused on Nebraska. We watched some video of them today real quickly. We didn't do anything in practice on them because we have Friday in between to work on them. But as far as, your question, I'll probably start thinking about that, like I said, when we get down into Lincoln after Omaha. But, man, it was pretty special going back last year. I mean, I talked to Coach Cook. I mean, we talked for an hour a couple of days ago. He's always going to be a big part of my life, and I think I am for him too. So, and then Jalen's one of my best friends, and I coached Kelly and then coached with Kelly, and then Lindsay, Jolene, we could go down the list. I have such a big piece of my heart there. It's such a special place, and everyone talks about the gym and the fans and the place, and there's no place in Nebraska, and all of that is 100% true. But my heart there is the people that I got to work with, the players and the staff and the people that I got to be. So to be able to go back and get to spend some time with them is always going to be special. At some point here, if like staffs and rosters and everything, and we don't keep playing them, that might change. But right now, it's still very, very fresh, and a large part of their roster are still women that I coached. And so, I mean, last year we did like the hug. I mean, I didn't even expect that. I don't know if you guys remember that, but we shook hands, and then there's this they all gave me a big hug that was a little emotional and cool. And I got a couple radio things I'm doing when I get there, so it's special how much they care about their own, and I'm kind of an adopted one of their own. Both my kids were born there, so they'll always be Huskers. They both have the little Husker shirts, and it's a special place, and it's always emotional for me when I go back there. So I'm looking forward to it.
Last week, you were a little shorthanded due to some health reasons for your team. How confident are you in your team's health coming up in this week?
Yeah, confident. I mean, we are, like a lot of teams, you're dealing with some overuse stuff that you're trying to manage, so practice is limited. And, I wouldn't say a little shorthanded. We had 2 starters out for 1 match and another starter out for 2. But that's, I'll leave it at that. But it's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate that that I feel bad for our team that had to happen, because we're just not seeing that anywhere, so UCLA and us had that, and no one else did last weekend. So it's unfortunate that there's the NCAA does everything they can to make the rules even, and but it's no one's fault, but it is what it is, and so I feel bad for our team on that. So I really appreciate how our administration tried to do everything right, and so I appreciate them. They really got together and worked on it, but it's still it was a competitive disadvantage that us and UCLA had to deal with that apparently no one else in the country had to do. So that's unfortunate, but everybody's healthy and recovered from that, which is the most important thing to us, that we did it the right way and we were safe, and now everyone's back. And so Natalie's torn it up in practice the last 2 days, so she's recovered, and she really wasn't feeling well, so it's good that she got to have that time to do that. So kind of happy with how it all turned out, but everyone's ready to go, other than we're just normal stuff at this time of season. You're limiting some players physically just because you don't want it to turn into injuries.
Thank you, Coach.
Wow.